G'day, it's Robbie again. Well, today we're going to look at something a bit different. My trusty old McCulloch blower, my old Airstream blower, which I've had for like, 30 years, must be, and it's been absolutely flogged to death here at home and also up on the farm, blowing out the headers and stuff. It's done a humongous amount of work, this thing, and anyway, I was using it this morning, bang, she just stopped, like poof, just totally cut out. So you've got to say, well, if they just cut out like that, it's going to be an electrical problem. And in all the years I've had this, it's only ever played up once, and that was the transistor ignition on it, packed up fairly early in the piece, probably the first 10 years I had it. And it cost me $60 for a new CDI unit, and apparently that was about one of the few things that does go wrong with these. Apparently, when I spoke to the guy in the shop, I said, is it worth doing this thing up? And he said, listen mate, he said, this is the only decent thing McCulloch have made in the last 20 years. And that was like, well, that was 20 years ago. So, and I put another CDI in it, and away she went. You can see I made up a grill for it here that fell to pieces years ago. So, as I said, it's done a massive amount of work, and I thought maybe one day I'd show you how I make up some piston rings for it, or a piston ring for it, because I only have one ring in them, because when it dies I will make a ring myself. But anyway, it's electrical, so we'll have a look into it and see what's going on. Well, I think it's electrical. I probably will bet my bottom dollar it's electrical. So the first thing we'll do is we'll pull out the spark plug and see if we've got a spark. Got a gap there, so the plug should be right. But to test it, rather than use the original plug, we'll put in a known good plug just to make sure that the plug isn't faulty. I mean, it can be the plug, even though that might look okay. That one looks okay to me, but it's clean, been running good. So I'll put in a brand new plug, or a pretty near new plug, and I'll pull it over and we'll see if we get a spark. Just earth it out on a carby somewhere. That'll do it. No spark. So either the CDI's buggered again. Well, I can't complain, it's done a lot of work. Well, there's a broken wire somewhere. I don't know, we'll have to see. I have to strip it down and just have a look and see what's inside. The beauty of these old girls is that McCulloch used the same CDI unit on a whole range of gear they made, garden gear they made at this time. And I've got an old whippersnipper I picked up off the side of the road, McCulloch, same vintage, and it runs perfectly good, but I haven't got a lawn, so I don't need a whippersnipper, but it's got the same CDI unit as on this, so if the CDI unit is stuffed, I'll just cannibalise it off the old whippersnipper. Won't have cost me a bean, so we'll have a look and see what's going on. McCulloch like to use torque screws, security screws on this stuff, so this is why a little kit like this is handy, and you can strip it down. So we have to take the handle off here, the cover. Right, that should come apart, I think. No, one more here. This thing was making some pretty funny noises lately, so who knows what's gone wrong. But it certainly just cut out dead, so I'd say it was definitely electrical. It's got no spark, so the spark has gone out to lunch somewhere. Right. So, check the ignition switch wires are which is good. There's the CDI back in here. We'll have to do a major pull down on this. So this side's got to come off now. Right, well now what we'll do is, now we've got the cover off, we can see what's going on. We'll disconnect this switch, make sure that that's not killing the ignition. It could be there's a dead short in the switch, we don't know, so we'll just take off the grounding wire, or one of the wires, and then we'll pull it over again with the plug on the cylinder head so it goes on. Just earth it out. There's a dodo, so we know the switch is okay. It's not that. So it means the CDI unit can't get for some reason. So now I've got to take the. Going to have to take the impeller off, and then we can get to the CDI, which is behind this plastic cover. So it's going to be a fairly big job. To get the impeller off, we're going to have to stop the crank from turning. So to do that, we're going to put some rope, some cord into the plug hole, and that'll compress, stop the piston. So I'll get the piston, just look through the hole, get the piston down to the bottom dead centre. That's it there. And then you just stuff in some cord, and that'll fill the cylinder head up, and then you can, once you've done that, you can then pull the thing onto the rope, the compression onto the rope, and jam the piston below top dead centre, and you can undo your nut, because the piston travel will be restricted. Otherwise you're going to risk breaking your fan if you try and hold onto your fan while you do this. This is an old two-stroke trick. Put in the cord. I have got a plug stop, a piston stop, which I can use on other motors, but as this plug goes in on an angle, I can't use it. The piston stop's actually designed for cylinders where the plug hole is directly above the piston, and it just is a little rod that goes down and screws in like a long spark plug. But this will do the job. Put in plenty of cord. Alright. That should be enough. Now we can undo the crank. There you go, easy as that. We'll leave the cord in there because we have to pull it up tight, and then when we're finished we'll take the cord out last. Well actually, yep, we'll do that. Get the bits in order. That's to the outside. Now it's a matter of take those screws out and the cover comes off. Right. I wonder whether it might have been dead shorting from there onto there, but that looks good, so I'd say the CDI is fried. That looks good to me. So, that's the little jigger that's caused the trouble. You won't see any signs of damage outside. They fail internally from the expansion and contraction. Every time they run, they heat up, and then when they cool, you know, turn them off, they contract again. This is a common problem. Ducati motorbikes, Statas do the same thing on the old ones, and it's the sort of thing that can happen to any CDI unit that's on air-cooled engines, particularly anywhere where there's a lot of temperature change. Eventually the little wires inside break, and that's the end of them, or the vibration doesn't help. They're normally filled with epoxy to stop the vibration problem, but even so, over time they pack up. As you can see, this old girl's done a lot of work, but she's been a great unit. So now I've just got to strip the one out, the old whippersnipper I got for nothing, put it in, and theoretically it should go. Alright, well, I'll do that separately. When I get it out, I'll fit it into this old girl. We'll see how we go. So, here's the donor whippersnipper trimmer, line trimmer. Perfectly good unit. Right, I've got a lawn, and I mean, if you sold it, you get, it does go, but if you sold it, you get nothing for it. So I'm going to cannibalise the CDI out of that and get my blower going again. The line trimmer's pulled apart, and here's the unit we're going to take out, which, as you can see, is the same as the one that came out of the blower, and we'll fit that and we should be good to go. Once again, even though we're junking this perfectly good line trimmer, which is no use to me, and as I said, you try and sell these, you'd be lucky to get 20 bucks. The CDI unit was $60 20 years ago, so, you know, to buy one now, if you could get one, you'd be paying at least 60 or probably more. So it's just, I've no qualms about wrecking something that's not worth anything, and I can't use. And I mean, you still get stuff out of it, like the spark plug's useful, the line pull cord's useful. I mean, you've got carby, there's quite a few bits, muffler, who knows, it's all useful stuff. So too bad you've gone to the line trimmer junkyard, but you're going to do some more work live on in my old blower. So I'll take that off now and we'll fit it on the other one. Right, well, we've got the stator in position, or the pickup, whatever you want to call it, and we have to set the clearance between that and the flywheel. Now, the flywheel is not necessarily going to be true as far as being round, and in this case it's not, so we have to allow for setting it at the closest position, so rotate it and watch to see where it comes in closest to this pickup. Then you get some thin cardboard, manila folder, just fold it. So you've got a couple of thicknesses, and then you put that in. That'll give you clearance while you set it up. Just push that in there between that and that. And just get it in a central position. And lock it up. And it should be okay. I'm doing this ass about because I'm actually right-handed, but anyway, for the sake of the video, get it good and tight. We don't want it moving. Pull out your bit of cardboard, and now you should have clearance. Look at the gap there compared to around here. There's a big difference. Now we'll try it. We'll put a plug in. Now we'll pull it over and see if we get a spark. spark. You won't see it in the camera, but there is spark there. So now we put it back together. If you're keen, you could give it a clean, but I fully expect to have to do the piston ring on this pretty soon. It's done humongous work, so I'm not going to get too carried away about washing the dirt off as long as it runs, and she's good to go. So once it's back together, it should be action stations, so we'll see how we go. Well, she's all back together again. Well, the motor's back together. I haven't got all the shrouding on it, but we'll test it now and see if it actually does run. Got the plug-in screwed up tight, fans on, everything's there, so it should go. A bit of juice. Got the kill switch so I can turn it off if I have to. Close the choke, bit of choke. Here we go. Good, it's running. As you can hear it, it's making some weird noises. I think it's I think one of the bearings on the crank might be a bit lousy. I mean, it's due to die soon, so when it does, I'll strip it down, and if I can't get it going again next time, I'll just use it for spares for the other one I've got. So yeah, it's a goer. Well, there you have it. Job complete. Didn't cost me a cracker, and she's back in action. That rattling noise, I'm pretty sure that's a loose baffle in the muffler. So it's still got compression after all these years of use, and it still pulls full revs. So apart from having to de-coke the exhaust port a few years back, which was like 3/4 blocked with soot, and replacing the CDI on it 20 years ago, this thing's never missed a beat, and it gets used on a weekly basis. So yeah, you got to give it to it. It's a good old unit, a really good old unit. But yeah, as far as fixing these things, well, look, you know, it's not rocket science. You can do it. I showed you in the video how easy it is, and just a few things to consider. And yeah, so keep your eyes open for junk units that are the same brand. There's a high probability you may be able to just swap parts over when yours carks it. So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Cheers.